Good morning, Mr. Palmer.
Howdy. You know, we've been watching all these real goofballs on the internet, like having meltdowns. It's
I've been loving it. Liberal tears feed my soul. Or leftists, I should say leftists. I have no problem with liberals.
No, I guess I understand the difference, but pretty much, that's a tough one.
Well, the old school liberals, it used to be the case where you had very similar end goals, just different means of getting there, and you could debate it reasonably, like two intelligent, reasonable people. Leftists, no way. They want the complete destruction of our society and
complete
country.
control.
Yeah, and control. And there's no middle ground with those people. So I'm loving seeing these nutbags going forward.
And they are. The thing that really gets to me that I just do not understand is, okay, you want to cut your hair. Cut your fucking hair.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
But why do you have to do it on camera? It's not a statement enough just to cut your hair.
They're narcissists. That's why.
That's right.
There's been a lot of different reactions. There's the whole screaming, yelling, cutting your hair. There's this whole thing about women divorcing their husbands because they assume their husband voted for Trump. There's women who say we're not going to date men anymore. We're not going to have sex with them. Especially white men.
I think that's great.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I always write in the box whenever there's a place to write in. What do you think about this? I always go, it's great for us to stop Democrats from reproducing.
That's exactly right. Not going to have babies with a white man anymore.
No.
There's people, and I kind of understand this. There's people who are saying, well, don't gloat over this. Show some grace.
Bullshit.
Yeah, it is bullshit. Unfortunately, the people who write this stuff down, I see a lot of my friends on Facebook write stuff like that. They were not the ones calling us racist, misogynist, homophobes, all this other stuff. So it's kind of unfortunate because they were reasonable, but the rest of the leftists weren't. They've been calling us Nazis for years and decades actually.
Well, you're Hitler, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm Hitler, the same as Hitler, and you're a Putin lover, and you're an election denier, and you're a vaccine denier.
Right.
So I'm taking a victory lap. If I could take the lap on their faces, I would. I mean, not the people who, like I said, were reasonable through the whole thing.
That sounds nasty.
But I almost feel like I have to respond to that because it's like, yeah, show some grace to your opponents, but I agree, but you're not thinking about it the same way I am. It's like they have not shown grace through it for decades.
No, and I don't think that they can. I don't think they're so used to.
They're unhinged.
They're so used to winning, but it isn't really winning.
Yeah.
When it's cheating.
Well, 2020 was definitely stolen. This is off the subject, but the fact that there were 13 to 18 million fewer votes cast in 2024 versus I guess it was 2019 when it actually happened, shows you that margin of victory for Biden, victory in quotes, was fake. It was all manufactured ballots.
And probably
cheating.
For a long time before that, but we didn't know.
Yeah, I'm sure 2016 was cheated too, because Hillary was sure she was going to win, and that stupid guy in the FBI and his lover, what was his name? He was so despicable.
Are you talking about Valerie?
No. He was in the FBI. He was testifying before Congress. He was smirking and everything, and they were talking about they had this insurance plan to not let Trump win.
Oh, right. Okay.
It was someone else, but we'll have to
somebody else
put
that we can hopefully
later.
Forget.
Yeah, he was terrible though. He should have been fired immediately because they were tampering with the vote, and they said they had some sort of insurance plan to keep him out and put Hillary in, and it failed for some reason.
Oh, gee.
Yeah, thank God.
We're talking about this issue right now, and we watched it just happen again in Arizona, because there's no way in the world that you can tell me that Trump won by 52% plus whatever in Arizona. But then they turned around and voted for that little sniveling Gayogis, or whatever his name is.
Right. Yeah. Normally the down ballot follows the
he's the dwarf,
the top of the ticket. Yeah, he's a dwarf. Yeah, I really wanted Carrie Lake to be in there,
and I think rightfully she probably was voted in.
Yeah. Well, she was voted in governor into 2020.
But you can certainly always tell when Arizona is cheating in the election because they take 13 days or 7 days or whatever it is, when everybody else in the country could somehow come up with a count overnight.
Well, Florida is the third most populous state after California and Texas, and they had their results in about 3 hours after the polls closed. What does that tell you?
It tells you that they had an honest election.
Honest election because of Ron DeSantis, thank God.
Right. And that Arizona did not have an honest election. Okay.
So the other thing that's been interesting too, besides people melting down, which we'll hopefully talk about a little bit later, is all these celebrities and notable figures were saying, Bette Midler, what'd she say? She was going to drink Drano. Rob Reiner Meathead was going to set himself on fire. There was some other people threatening crap like it's like, go ahead, sell tickets. We'll solve the national
That's
debt.
what I said.
You know, we're in debt.
Lord.
We could pay off all the money we sent over to Ukraine,
I think
to be laundered.
Bette Midler's voice is so bad these days that she probably already considered drinking Drano.
Yeah, I know.
See if
It might
helps.
help. Yeah. And then there was so many celebrities and just regular people saying, "Oh, if Trump wins, I'm moving to Canada. I'm moving to
London.
Wherever." It's so funny. I saw one guy. He's so stupid. He's like, "I'm going to leave the country. I'm moving to Hawaii." It's like,
Yes, I saw that. I saw that.
do you know Hawaii's our 50th state? You idiot.
I talked to a friend of mine.
He'd probably be happier there because it's a very blue state.
Yeah. Well, and it is. That will never
And it's
change.
beautiful.
Because the blue comes from the water. Let's face it.
That's right.
I was talking to a friend of mine in London the other day, and he, who I always had imagined was a liberal, said, "Oh no, I'm really good. I'm really glad about this. It might help us fix our problems over here if you guys are."
They need it,
and they really do. All the people coming across the border, they're open borders.
When you see what's happening in countries like England or UK and Canada with regards to free speech, it shows you how important our First Amendment is. Because years ago, there wasn't that much of a distinction between the free speech we have here in the United States, and you could pretty much speak freely in Canada and the UK without too many repercussions. You used to be that way. But it's really ratcheted down, and there's a stark contrast. I mean, the people in the UK were saying they would come over to the U.S. or try to extradite people who were on the interweb, spreading lies or saying things that were hurtful.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, you try that here.
Right.
We'll have another 1776.
I'm wondering if Barbra Streisand went across into Canada, would they view that as an immigrant problem?
I don't know. With that big nose, they'd be afraid she'd be breathing all their oxygen.
Yeah. What an awful woman.
Is she still married to James Brolin?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh,
but I think he probably has probably much free reign to do whatever he wants to.
It's been a long-term marriage, so I got to hand that to her.
Or him.
Yeah. I mean, both of them. Yeah, because that's pretty rare with famous people where they stay married for such a long time.
Yeah, I'm saying I don't think that they're probably all that. I don't have any idea, but I'm going to guess that their continuing marriage depends on them being apart.
Yeah, that could be.
I'm guessing.
So what have you seen on the interweb of people like blue-haired nose ring weirdos yelling and screaming in the camera?
Well, I picked out a couple of them from things on X,
right?
Which I blindly just keep this sitting there scrolling through this crap.
It's glorious.
It is. It's pretty wonderful to watch these people just literally, as you say, melt down. There's this one woman, I'll play it for you now. It is this woman who is just sitting there going, as she talks.
Like Pelosi, messing with her dentures.
I don't think that's the same, but
you know what happens?
I think she just didn't brush her teeth. I don't get it. Why would you come on and have to photograph that? How would you have to?
I think with Pelosi is all the alcohol drink, it ruins the adhesive of the polygrip, so her dentures are floating around.
You think?
Oh yeah, probably.
Wow.
She's a booze hound.
Oh, that's pretty clear.
Yeah, just camel toe too.
Yeah, she's a white wine drinker.
Drunk. Yeah, she's probably sitting there with a box of wine right now.
A box. I love it. You're probably right. And she owes $18 million.
Yeah,
that
she raised over $1 billion and still owes 20 million or so. Yeah, so let's see that clip.
And most effective form of protest you have right now that you can start immediately. Put a mask back on. Stop letting them observe your face. And have the side benefit of better health and protecting the rest of us in the world. Put a mask back on. Fuck this government.
So I just want to say to her, grab a toothbrush. If you're so worried about women's health, start with your own mouth.
Start with your oral health. You pig.
And then there's just been so many of these things.
Yeah.
Let's play 2 or 3 more of them so that you can get an idea of how insane these people are.
My husband and I live off the government. We don't work. And this morning, it's Sunday. This morning, I asked him where he wanted to go eat lunch because we always go out to eat on Sundays. And he sat me down and he said, I think it's best that we stop eating out on Sundays, considering Donald Trump got elected and pretty soon we're going to be without a paycheck because he's not going to give us any more money. It wasn't until he said that it hit me how much this election affects our family directly. Because now we're both probably going to have to go get a job. And so we're going to miss time with our kids. We're going to miss time together. It's just devastating because before our country was so great. People could just live off of the government. You didn't really have to work unless you wanted to. But now with Trump, he's going to force everybody to go to work. And I don't think people realize how devastating it is to trade your time for money when you could have just had money handed to you from the very beginning. It's awful. And now I'm like, we're not even going to have Sunday lunches out.
So I saw this one, and it's fun seeing them melt down, but this one crazy, ugly slag was on there. A white woman, too, but look, just hideous looking. She's talking about she's going to go...
Bigoted, yeah. You just said.
Yeah. She's going to go buy... She says she's going to buy a Glock. She didn't say which model. She probably doesn't know there's many models of Glock in different calibers and different sizes, different capacities, but that's I digress. But she's going to, in the street, if she sees a white man at night, stipulation, she's going to shoot them.
Yes. You don't have to approach me.
You don't even have to approach me. If I see a white man at night, it has to be at night because I don't want to get caught, I'm just going to shoot you. Which is ridiculous because it's so funny. It's like, so now there's two sexes.
Well, and now we're worried about crime in the streets.
Yeah.
I mean,
know.
think about that. That's, but the other part of that is if she is so completely, profoundly unfamiliar with a Glock, she's probably going to rip the crap out of her hand if she tries to shoot it.
She probably said Glock because that's the gun that Camel Toe said she owned when she doesn't.
Oh, yes,
Because it took like 3 days. So if you own a gun, Camel Toe, what is it? 3 days later, it's a Glock. It's like saying, I drive a Toyota, because it's the most popular handgun.
Right.
Not the best, but it's super reliable. I mean, that's what I carry.
Is it?
Glock,
okay.
Model 23, 40 caliber.
Okay, well, thanks. I don't have a Glock.
Oh,
I didn't do it.
Yeah, you didn't do it. So I wrote back to that lady and said, I'm your Huckleberry. So we'll see what happens.
That's so great. That is so great. Yeah, no, they're pissed off at white guys.
Yeah.
And they don't want to be attractive to us. So every time.
Well, they're not.
No, I know.
But they're threatening to cut off sex. It's like, yeah, you go ahead.
Yes.
I wasn't interested in you in the first place.
Well, it's like saying, I'm going to eat ice cream. I'm so pissed off at you, I'm going to go eat ice cream.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't affect me whatsoever.
Right.
I'm not going to have your babies. Well, I'm 62. What do I care?
Yeah, right.
I'm not Tony Randall.
Yeah, right.
I don't need to procreate.
And when I was 27, I wasn't interested in them
I wasn't
either.
interested in fatties. Too bad. Purple-haired fatties, go away.
The purple hair, the blue.
The blue wristband. To show, I voted for Camel Toe.
To show that we're united.
Yeah. I'm wearing this to show I'm united with the rest of the country.
Oh, God.
It's fantastic that Trump won the popular vote.
I know.
Because that would have been a huge point of contention. And
forever. And Hillary would have come out of her hole and bitched about it.
Oh, yeah. And people are so stupid when they say they want to get rid of the Electoral College. They don't understand that we are the United States. We are a group of states that came together, and the less populous states said, yeah, we can join with you, but we need to have fair representation.
And some kind of balance.
Yeah, the Electoral College, if that was taken away, the country would be ruled by whoever L.A., Chicago, New York, and some other big cities say. And the big cities are where all the shitbags live.
Right.
It's like...
I do know that. I used to live there.
That's why cities are crap.
I mean, L.A.
With their crime problems and their drug problems, they're full of shitbags. And do you want those people picking who rules the country? Hell no.
No.
Yeah,
I don't.
Of course, you want some representation.
Although in L.A. they did finally get rid of that awful Gascon guy.
He's terrible.
Terrible man.
Stupid. He just barely made it through law school.
And the new guy seems to be, a quality prosecutor who's going to probably...
Hope,
yeah.
Because L.A. has really gone downhill. Well, California, completely. They have a net loss of about 6 million people left the state because they're kind of becoming an oligarchy. Like the super rich and the super poor. The middle class is getting out of there because they can't afford it.
Right.
It's sad. And the middle class is our strength. I mean, the country
For the entire country.
For the entire country.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, there's a lot of countries where it is the super rich and the super poor. Mexico comes to mind. I mean, they have somewhat of a middle class, but we had a huge middle class, and that's what kept this place going.
So for a very long time, me being a gay guy, I've been very conscious, I should say, of all of the gay men were liberal, and they
Right.
made a big point of that. Oh, you're one of those guys. I mean,
Right.
I told you at one point that somebody called it, never had a political conversation, and they called and screamed at me because I was a supporter of the orange man, of course.
Yeah.
That orange fuck is what he called him.
Wow.
Anyway.
That's so nice.
Yeah, I know. So, of course, that ended that friendship
Right.
or just being anywhere near him. But so I try not to make it too big a deal. But when I do discuss around home with people liberals that come here,
Right.
and we chat, and politics comes up. But I, of course, am enthusiastic
Right.
about my positions. And I just try to explain and educate, and I think I do it fairly, but they
Right.
don't always think so.
Right.
I can't talk to you. You know, they don't want to hear something that they don't know how to argue. But the thing that has occurred to me now, seeing all the things that have happened, it seems to me that, like the rest of the country, a whole bunch of gay men and women have also become Trump voters, Trump supporters, Republicans, conservatives, in the process of watching our country disintegrate
Right.
in front of them. We're no different than anybody else. They just keep trying to make us different.
Right.
They keep trying to separate us. They keep trying to say, oh, no, you're different from everybody else, and you owe your difference to us because we're going to protect you. Yeah, I don't think so.
Nah.
It's never did happen.
We protect gays on principle. Like, everyone should be treated equally
Humans.
and fairly, and they're humans. And
Right.
they're children of God and all that. It just makes common sense.
So there's this one children of God
Yeah.
comment that I want you to share. I'm going to share it with you.
All right.
You could have downsized your life, gotten rid of that big giant truck of yours, and all your expensive weapons, or you could have gone out and fought for higher pay, or an end to corporate corruption. You chose to do neither of those things because it was easier to blame immigrants. And that is laziness, that is sloth. You saw hatred as the path of least resistance and the best way to maintain your lifestyle, and you took it. You took it at the expense of the lives of so many of the neighbors you are supposed to be loving. You have failed as a Christian. You have failed to live up to the expectations of Christ, and we all do at some point or another. But you need to repent.
It's exactly the same thing as everybody hating the right-wing Christian who's preaching fire and brimstone.
Right.
It's kind of the same.
Nice.
This guy is clearly not about Christianity. He's
Right.
about having his way. He's going to tell you that he's a man of God, so that you are forced to listen to his position only.
Well, it's like that Westboro Baptist Church. They have nothing to do with Christianity. They're using that as a shield to pretend that they're just so horrible. They're anti-American. They're anti-gay. They're just horrible people, and they're hiding behind this church, facade.
Right.
They have nothing to do with Christianity
Or God.
Yeah, they're terrible.
Let me just say, I haven't heard about them in a long time. I think maybe we've successfully
That was
beaten
mostly
them
during
back.
Bush. When they had those horrible signs like at funerals for soldiers coming back from
right.
Iraq. It's like God hates fags. This is punishment for
For soldiers who weren't gay even, but they fought
Then they
for
could
the
have
U.S.
been, but
Right.
it doesn't
Yes.
matter.
Right.
But they're just horrible people. Thankfully, toward the end there, the Hells Angels and other motorcycle clubs were protecting these funerals, which was fantastic.
Amazing.
It's great.
And that's actually an allegory for the entire country coming
Yeah.
together to say, no more Democrats. We're not going to take it
we're not
anymore.
putting up with this crap.
In fact, we're going to take it so far that we're going to elect Trump.
Yeah, that's right.
What a statement.
It's like they pushed it so far that Trump seemed to be the reasonable choice for most people.
Yeah.
And he is. I mean, you think about all this stuff people say that he's going to do, but we had 4 years of Trump, and he was pretty reasonable. His policies that he pushed were pretty mainstream conservative policies or populist policies. Now, unfortunately, he didn't get as much done as he should have because he was been impeached from day one. They kept going after him and used lawfare against him. And then Dwarf Mangula Fauci had that the pandemic come over from the Wuhan Institute of Virology, which he funded illegally.
Yes.
And that kind of...
Well, he didn't fund it. Well, he did partially, yeah.
He did, yeah. And...
no, I'm saying the United States taxpayer funded it.
Yeah,
is really
yeah,
what
but
happened.
he authorized,
and the army and the military did that.
It was just terrible. Just terrible stuff. And they released that on the world. Millions of people dead, partially from the virus, partially from the response to the virus.
Right.
Well, mostly from the response. And now people are dying from the jab that was forced on people. So it's just a horrible thing. And I still hold Trump responsible for not pushing back against a lot of that stuff.
You know what? It wasn't his. You even pointed this out.
Yeah.
It wasn't his area of expertise.
Right. I know.
But now he's got Bobby Kennedy in there.
Yeah,
RFK
thank
Jr.
God.
Yay. If it weren't for that, I'd be a little bit worried, but I'm not. This guy knows his stuff.
And clean up the food supply.
Oh, yeah. Please.
That's huge. Oh, I saw this other. This is a really funny one. If you can find it would be great. There's a guy watching his neighbor. He's like got coffee. He's watching his neighbor take down her Harris Waltz sign.
Yes.
And she knew that because they're neighbors, he voted for Trump. And she's just screaming at the top of her lungs at him. And he's like, "You have a blessed day." It just makes her crazier. It's so great. It's like when people flip you off in your car and you smile and wave.
Right.
That makes them more incensed than if you flipped them off back. And then if it ever comes to something and they go to the cops or whatever, well, what do you do? He waved and smiled at me. It's like, get the hell out of here.
It's really true.
It's so great. I love that response. And that lady was going insane.
I think that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that is the reaction to all these lunatics that they put themselves. They're putting themselves out there online and telling you, I am insane and it's your fault.
Well, they have such a visceral reaction, like it's uncontrollable. But for some reason, they were able to control it as they set up the camera and the audio and recorded it. It's like, well, how'd you hold it together for the few seconds it took to do that if you're that insane?
The other part of the insanity, in my view, is that they think if they do this, if they cut their hair or they wear a blue bracelet or they do whatever they are going to do, that or that I'm going to have my tubes tied.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you think that Trump is going to notice that or that he's going to be upset? Oh, no, please don't.
If he does, he'll laugh.
It's right.
He'll say, "We won bigly."
Yeah, right. Yeah. And that is true. And that's where we're at.
I don't know of any notable people that have left the country for good like they said they would.
I know.
And I was so hoping, that was part of the reason I voted for Trump, is all these douchebags from Hollywood and sports ball and music.
I don't believe you for a second.
I'm going to leave the country. It's like, that is icing on the cake.
Yeah.
It's like, please do it
and they're
never
all people,
come back.
They're all people that we don't want as neighbors.
Oh, my God, no way. Can you imagine like a douchebag like Robert De Niro as your neighbor? Oh, God. It'd be horrible.
The ultimate Karen.
Yeah. Oh, I know. It would be like Rand Paul's neighbor who broadsided him as he was cutting his lawn and broke a rib.
Yeah.
They're just nuts. They're insane.
Yeah.
Did I say Ron Paul or Rand Paul?
Well, you said Ron Paul, but
I did. Rand Paul. It was
they
Rand
are
Paul.
they are ubiquitous.
Yes, they are. The Pauls.
That is a brand.
Yes, it is.
And probably the reason that Rand won, I think, is his father's name. But I don't care. I like him. He's a good guy.
He's been great against Fauci. He really pressured Fauci to, confess all this stuff. And of course, Fauci lied because he's a little Hitler. Well, not Hitler. He's Mengele.
That's much better.
Joseph Mengele. Dr. Death from the Nazi concentration camps.
Tony Mengele. Anyway, the fact is that RFK, our champion liberal, actually,
right.
This is a good guy. He's a little focused.
Yeah, he's very focused.
But I appreciate the focus.
I appreciate that Trump reached out to him and they got together, apparently through Cheryl Hines, because his wife, Cheryl Hines, RFK Jr. wasn't going to return the call, but...
Really?
Yeah, he had reached out to, after he dropped out of the race, he reached out to the Harris campaign.
Okay.
And they just ignored him. It's like,
of course.
We don't want you.
But they ignored everybody. You have a question? I don't want to talk.
And Trump reached out to him because I think Trump embraces a lot of those ideas, and I sure hope he does. of cleaning up the food supply.
Sounds like it.
I hope. And so they had a meeting at Mar-a-Lago, and they had a lot of common ground. And I just hope that they embrace some of this, because a lot of our problem in the country are obesity rates, diabetes going through the roof, and Alzheimer's, which they call type 3 diabetes.
Yes, right.
That would be great to tackle that. That is a huge part of our national debt, is because of medical issues. And Medicare can't afford all this stuff. Medicaid can't afford to treat all these preventable diseases and obesity.
By next year, where they're talking about like 25 to 30% of the population being diabetic,
right?
Because we're eating such a load of crap,
right? And they're trying, the pharmaceutical companies are trying to get people hooked on Ozempic now, which is going to, this is one of these things you see a big push for it. A couple of years from now, there's going to be a class action suit for all the damage caused by this.
Yep, and we're going to keep, until you're a sponsor, we're going to keep bashing on you.
Even then, we wouldn't take you as a sponsor.
But no, that's what every network has done, though.
I know.
They go in and sponsor every program, every big network, so that nobody can speak out against them.
You can't run a hit piece on Pfizer or Moderna
or anybody else is giving you millions and millions of dollars every month.
Oh, I know. I used to wonder, why are they advertising these prescription drugs? Because I can't just go and buy them.
Right.
So who are they advertising to? It can't be, doctors are watching this. That would be easy to focus on doctors through some other means. But it's so they don't get sued. No, not sued. It's so they don't get hit pieces, which will lead to class action suits.
So I did tell you at one point about my nephew who was sick in the hospital and out of the hospital and had terrible intestinal problems, and he kept going back into the hospital and going back in, and all of a sudden it was over. And I asked him what happened, what was the difference, and he said, I stopped taking Ozempic.
Oh man. Yeah, it's
the doctors put him on it.
It's a very expensive drug, and it's a lifetime thing. It's one of those things where you get on it, you stay on it, and they're trying to get. Well, kids are fat nowadays. Video games, they're not going outside to play, and I think it's a protection device against pedophilia, because a pedophile. No, this is a Bill Burr, which is a stand-up comic, is like, yeah, you just that's the way you protect your kids. You make them too fat to fuck,
I never heard that one.
But then they can't. They also can't outrun the pedophiles, so it's kind of working against itself. But anyway, this childhood obesity thing, the pharmaceutical companies are pushing Ozempic for kids rather than like, hey, the John F. Kennedy thing. This is back in the '60s when I was in grade school. They had the physical fitness test you had to do every year with the school. Had to do 100 sit-ups and a bunch of push-ups and stuff like that. There was these physical fitness teams that high schools would compete against each other. In fact, the high school I went to in Emmaus, Pennsylvania, won that all the time. They were awesome. They were really, really good. The little tiny school that we were in just did really great nationally. Because they took it real seriously.
Okay.
Yeah, it was great.
That's all about leadership.
Yeah, I think so.
So what are we going to do look, all these people are insane that we're talking about. And they're insane, and they refer to us as uneducated. And they believe that they are educated, and they've been educated by our school systems.
Indoctrinated,
yeah. Exactly right.
Oh, yeah, I love that. They look down at their nose at people on the right, because
that's right.
The Democrats used to pretend to be the party of the working man, the downtrodden, the working poor, all that. They were supposed to be embracing them, but they don't care anymore. They like the tech oligarchs. They like academia, Hollywood, music, sports ball, all that stuff.
The tech oligarchs actually supported Trump to some extent.
A lot of them did. Some overtly, some covertly.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
So wondering how this, if Trump's stated goal to get rid of the Department of Education, which I think is great. I'm all for it. I think it's a terrible thing.
Yeah, we don't need anything above the state level.
Well, it's a way to hand out your own money as bribes. Mm-hmm. You do what I say or your money's gone forever. Yeah. So I think it's going to be helpful in terms of money and bribery, but I don't know if it's going to be effective in terms of it goes back to the states, and the states can indoctrinate you or educate you depending on what they.
But they'll be able to tailor the educational process more or less to what's needed in that state. And there'll be all these different experiments going on, 50 different experiments around the country, and we'll see what works and what doesn't.
Yeah.
Where when it's under the national, Department of Education, it's homogenized. It might work, it might not work.
But at least there'll be accountability
there'll
at
be
the next
accountability.
room.
Yeah. But
down the hall.
the states can all do their own little experiments within reason, and what really works will rise to the top, and other states will say, I like what Montana's doing.
Yeah.
Their test scores have gone way up. What are they doing? Let's do it in our state.
Yeah.
And you can pick and choose all these different programs and policies that are shown to be successful. That's the way to do it.
Yep. I agree. So are we? I think we're done.
I think we're done.
Okay. Let's make
Until next time, we can maybe have a big rant. We'll go in here and scream and cry.
Unlike today.
No, we'll scream and cry like the lefties.
I'm Russell Palmer.
I'm Doug Kunkel.
And we'll see you next week. And write us. Let us know what you're thinking.